people flows, and follow-ups. You may be wondering, what are people flows? How can people flows be used? How do I set them up? And how are they managed? This video is all about how to utilize Tithely ChMS people flows for your ministry. What's a people flow? People flows are the processes that your church has. For example, there may be a process an individual goes through to become a member, get baptized, dedicate a baby, or get married. It could be the process someone goes through before being allowed to serve in the children's ministry. It could even be the process that happens whenever someone tries to book the church hall for a function. The only thing a people flow needs is steps to work through. People flows allow you to set up and track the different processes that occur in your church in a systematic and step-by-step flow. Most processes you have in your church that involve people should be put into a people flow. This ensures no one is missed. What's your process? What does it look like? Draw it out, make a diagram, create a checklist. When you can visually see, it helps you to map it out within the software. We recommend when creating flows in the ChMS that you build from the endpoint and create your steps backwards to the entry point. Setting up a people flow. First, go to People. Select Flows in the drop-down menu. Click Add a new flow. Here, you can give the new flow a name, select the locations the flow is used in, and if needed, assign the flow to a particular demographic. You can also assign admin roles for this flow. These admins will oversee the entire flow process and dictate who can be added to it. Within the flow setup, we can also define what we call entry points. Entry points define at what point individuals are added to the people flow. We need to work on the individual steps before we can set this. At the bottom of this page, you'll see an area where you can set up optional reminder notifications to the flow and step admins of this people flow. Here, you can set reminders to send via email, SMS, both email and SMS, or only send an SMS if the admin has no email address. You can set multiple reminders for admins to remind them when a person is due or even overdue. Once you're happy with all the settings, hit Save and create the people flow. Now that your flow is created, you'll need to add steps. The most basic flow may only need one step, but you can set up a people flow with as many steps as you like. When thinking through your steps, take into account the different responses from people at each step and if a different action is required. Scroll to the top of the page and select Steps. Then select Add Step. Flow Step Setup. When the Flow Step window opens, you'll need to give the step a name and a description. Also, enter the instructions that are to be followed in this flow step. For example, give the member a call. Due date. This setting changes when the person is due to be completed from the step. For instance, you may want someone to be processed immediately when they're added to a step, or the step might require that they're processed a set number of days after being added. Hide pending. This setting changes when people due within the flow will appear on the assigned administrator's dashboard relative to when the person is due. For instance, if John Bubble is due to be actioned on the 15th and the hide pending is set for 4 days, John won't appear on the dashboard until the 11th of March. Notification. Would you like the step admins to be notified when someone is assigned to this step? If someone is assigned to this step and to a specific administrator, only the assigned admin will receive the notification. If this option is selected and a person is added without being assigned to an administrator, a notification will be sent out to all administrators in this step. Step admins. For any step that requires someone to do something, we recommend assigning them as a step admin. You can add multiple step admins to this flow step, as there may be multiple people who will carry out the actions required. Actions. People flow actions occur after the completion of a step. You can choose from a range of actions. Do nothing. Change a person's field, like people category or personal profile details. Add to a group, send an email, send an SMS, move to another step in the people flow, or add to another people flow. You can set up as many actions to happen simultaneously after the step is completed. In this example, we've set up a step called Initial Email. The first action of this step sends the person an email called Welcome to Church. This email template was created prior to creating the flow. Feel free to find out more about how to do this at help.tithe.ly. The second action set dictates that the person will move to the phone call step next. Keep in mind that you will have to have had created the phone call step before adding this action to it. The automated setting allows for actions you define to automatically be applied to every person that goes through the steps. Or you can select optional, which will manually be monitored by the flow or step admins. Entry points. Now that you've set up the steps, you can go back and specify the entry point. When you select a step entry point, you are defining which steps people can be added to in that flow. This clearly defines the beginning step at which people are added to a flow. Using a people flow. Once you've set up your people flow, you can start using it. Adding people to a flow. People can be added into flows in a number of ways. First, from the Flows section of a people profile. Second, through Mass Manage of a people search. 3, from the action of a different people flow step. 4, from the action of a form. 5, from directly within the people flow itself. It is important to note that only the first 2 options are limited by entry points. Also, if a person is currently in a people flow step and not yet completed, they cannot be added to the same step again until it is completed. Forms and people flows. You can use ChMS forms for team interest applications, group member interest, and more. The great power of forms comes from their ability to automate tedious tasks like adding people to people flows automatically. For example, let's say you want to have a contact card for new visitors on your church app or website. You can establish that once this form is filled out, these people are automatically added to the first-time guest people flow. As you can see, due to the settings we've established earlier, the person will automatically be added to the entry point of this flow. There are so many ways you can utilize people flows to capture the heartbeat of your church. These processes are meant to streamline the internal communications of your leadership team, while also carefully documenting the journey of each member. Don't forget to train your team. Your aim will be to get your key users to a level of understanding the day-to-day tools in Tithely ChMS, and to get them thinking about the ways they can use the system to better improve the systems and processes in your church. Once you establish your people flows, you'll want to take the time to train all individuals that have a role to play and how to use the processes. For more information, guides, and support requests, please find us at help.tithe.ly.